Welcome back to 4 Dudes BBQ. Today we're making pork chops.
Pork chops? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Alright, let's get cooking.
Yeah, let's get cooking.
Alright, so this is our pork loin. It's about 3 pounds, a little more. What I'm going to do is cut this into basically pork chops. No bone pork chops. I'll probably use about half of this right now for this cook, save the other half for a different recipe. So I'll show you how I cut it and about what size. After I cut these, I'm going to put them into our brine. And our brine is made of about 4 cups of water and 1/3 of a cup of kosher salt and 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. Get that through. So there you have it. Now here's what I'm going to go for. Maybe 1/2-inch pieces. I do like thinner pork chops on the barbecue. And we're going to brine these so we're not worried about them drying out. But I'll cut these up about that size and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, got our pork chops cut. So from that half you see we got 2, 4, 6, 7 little pork chops. Over here is just a little bit of some of that tougher meat and connective tissue. I might cook that down and make it into something else, slow cook it, save it for later. I'll freeze it along with see, we still got this whole half here and that's got a lot of fat on it, so that might be good for a little slower smoke. But this side over here is pretty lean, trimmed down nice and good. What I'm going to do is put this in a brine. I'll show you what they got here. Alright, so this is a brine here. I'm going to keep it in this plastic bag and then keep it in the fridge. But see, it's got brown sugar, kosher salt, and pepper. And I'll go ahead and put that exact little link for the recipe in the description. But it's pretty simple. You can use any type of brine you like. Just something to give a little bit of moisture. Keep these pork chops flavorful. And what I'm going to add to it, I'm going to glaze these once they're almost finished cooking with a peach jelly and habanero glaze. That's delicious. I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So we'll get all these pork chops in this bag, get them brining. Because these are so small and thin, again, like I said, I like the thinner ones on the pork chop, nice quick cook. This is only going to be in here a couple hours. If you wanted them thicker, you can leave them in all day. But a good 2 hours is plenty. We'll zip that up, and we'll come back when these are ready to go on the barbecue. Alright, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do our glaze for our pork chops. So what I got here is some peach preserves. You can use probably whatever fruit you like. Peach or orange. Let's say something lighter in color, not strawberry or grape. So about half a jar. Jar's 18 ounces, about 9 ounces. Then we're going to put in a couple dashes of Worcestershire. A little bit of some A1 sauce. I like that A1 for that. Any type of meat really, but pork, beef, especially I like A1. Then I have 1 habanero pepper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to score this, make a little cross, and just dump it in, just like that hole. Now what I'll do is I will put this over a low flame, let it come to a boil, let it thicken up a little bit, and turn it off. And then once our pork chops are done, I'm going to glaze it with this stuff. So I'll show you what that looks like after I cook it down a little bit. Alright, so now's the time we're going to throw our chops on our Weber kettle. And what I got here, so I'm going to show you guys my pork chops that have been brining. They've been gone for about 3 hours now. They're in a combination of that kosher salt, brown sugar, and pepper. And we're going to throw these right over the hot part. We really want to get a nice crust on these. They're not very big or thick, so they're not going to take terribly long. Just get a little color on them, Then we're going to slap that peach jelly and habanero glaze on them. I cooked that down. I showed you the recipe earlier, but I cooked it down for maybe 5 minutes. It got really thick, got a little darker in color. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to cook these chops. I'll show you what they look like when I flip them. Alright, so about 2 minutes aside. I'm going to turn these over. Got a couple hot spots. You can see these chops are looking good. We want a little bit of that char, some of that caramelization on there. But what we're going to do now, let these go another 2 minutes. Then we're going to slap on that glaze. I'll show you that in a second. Alright, so chops are looking good. They got enough color for us right now. They don't take very long to cook, so what we don't want to do is overcook them before we can get that glaze on them. Let's actually leave that side like that. So here's our glaze. See if you can see it there. Put it in a cup. But it's nice and thick. I'm going to mop those chops with it. And let that crust up. And again, this is that peach preserve habanero pepper with A1 sauce and Worcestershire. I just cooked it down in a little saucepan for 5 minutes. Let it thicken up a little bit. Alright, so I got one side done. Actually moved them away from the flame, a little indirect, so that glaze can caramelize. And what I'm going to do now is turn them over, hit the other side, and these chops will be done. Again, you got to remember, this was from a whole pork loin that we sliced up into whatever size you like. I like the quick cook on the barbecue for pork chops. You can make them thicker, even thinner if you like. We brine these in kosher salt, brown sugar, and black pepper for 3 hours. And again, if your chops are thicker, let it go longer. You can go 6, 7, 8 hours with thick pork chops, and all it's going to do is help out the flavor. So, we're going to mop this up, get it on nice and thick. Close the lid just for a couple minutes. Let it set up, and we'll pull it off and have a taste test. We got a great recipe coming up for a side for this. I'll talk to you about in a minute. Alright, so there you have it. These are our pork chops. And they are absolutely delicious looking. The only way to tell though is to have a bite. So let's take a bite. So we got our pork chops cooked from that pork loin. I'm going to try one right now. Let's take this one here. Cut this up, take a bite. Oh, it's perfect. You can just feel by cutting it that it's tender. Super tender. That brine helps make that meat tender, and that glaze is on point. You know, for a very good side to this, check out a friend of Four Dudes Barbecue, Mama Life Cooking. She's preparing a roasted rosemary red potato side dish to pair with our pork chops here. She's a friend of Four Dudes, so make sure she's a friend of yours. Check out her recipe. We'll put a link into it. But I hope you enjoyed Four Dudes Barbecue. This is our pork loin, and turned it into pork chops with that habanero glaze. Have a good one. If you liked the video, please subscribe, and check out Mama Life Cooking as well. Talk to you later.